Local politicians are reflecting on that dark day and expressing optimism about American democracy. But as KPBS's Alexander Nguyen explains, one expert expressed doubts about the future of the United States.
Congressman Scott Peters was in the gallery watching the proceedings when the mob attacked. He said it was a great shock to him and his colleagues. 1 year later, they're still trying to figure out what happened.
We're on our way to figuring out exactly what happened, how to make sure it doesn't happen again.
One of the insurrectionists killed that day was Ashley Babbitt. She was a former Air Force veteran and lived in Peters District. He remembers the chaos that happened that day.
I remember being part of that and being amazed and upset that this could happen to what has to be one of the top terrorist targets in the world, the United States Capitol. The security was certainly a failure.
For freshman Representative Sarah Jacobs, last January 6th was only her fourth day in Congress. She said it made her realize that her job is protecting and defending democracy.
We can no longer rest on the strength of our institutions because our institutions are the ones being co-opted. But as dark and scary and difficult as that all sounds, and it is, I believe that there is a path forward.
As optimistic as some local representatives are, one political expert expressed doubt about the future of the United States. Barbara Walter is the author of How Civil War Starts and How to Stop Them. She told KPBS Midday Edition the seeds of civil war were sown last January 6th, and that the U.S. is now considered a semi-democracy.
The United States was downgraded to anocracy for the first time after January 6th of last year. It hadn't been an anocracy since 1800, and it's no longer considered the world's longest standing democracy. So we are an anocracy, and that hasn't improved since Joe Biden has been in office.
The UCSD political science professor says racism and the fear of changing demographics have been feeding dissent. Congressman Juan Vargas says he and his staff were ready to fight back the mob last January. He says he recognized how close our democracy came to failing that day.
I mean, what would have happened if Donald Trump, as president, would have turned the military against the people? In other words, if he would have decided, I'm going to stay in office by using force. I mean, he at that point was still the commander-in-chief for another 2 weeks.
He says he's disappointed in some of his Republican colleagues who, to this day, won't stand up against Trump for fear of losing an election.
And it's sad. I mean, it's cowardly, obviously, but it's also sad.
He praises Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger for standing up for the truth. Darrell Issa, San Diego's lone Republican representative, released a statement saying the weeks and months that followed the January 6th attack were, quote, devastating for the nation. But he spent much of the statement attacking the Biden administration. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.